because he got hit this morning.
Hold on one second.
He's fine. His motorcycle, he's mad though.
His motorcycle and his motorcycle?
Yes, on his motorcycle. Okay, now you need to mute yourself.
Okay, we
give me
are
a second.
live.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'd like to call to order the Village Council work session on April 25th, 2024 at 9:01 a.m. We don't technically have a full quorum right now. Bob is on the premises, he's just not in the building, so we will note when he gets in. I do need a motion to allow Mayor Polino to participate remotely.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes, additions, subtractions, moving anything around? All right, hearing none, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Adoption of the previous minutes from April 9th, the budget work session and the regular meeting. Does anybody have any changes to either one of those?
Nope.
Nope. All right, hearing none, I need a motion to adopt the minutes from the 4/9/24 budget work session and the 4/9/24 regular meeting as presented.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Presentation. Consider entering into an agreement with Dewberry Engineers for engineering for the Marvin Loop project and authorize manager to, I'm going to guess it says authorize manager to execute the agreement not to exceed $567,482 for all items covered within the scope of the work project.
So I will introduce our speaker today from Dewberry. I wanted to really quick first just kind of go over, the contract is in your agenda packets. As you just read, it was $567,000, very large contract here. Wanted him to come today to kind of speak as to the process and what their involvement is going to be. This is, like I said, a very lengthy contract. It's for the CRTPO STIP grant that we received back in 2019, 2020, if I can recall correctly. Hunter can go into more detail about the specific project in that expansion. It's the Marvin Loop expansion. The contracts are in your agenda packet, but I wanted him to come and present just kind of their history, their involvement. We did go through a request for proposals or qualifications about a year ago, Hunter, and Dewberry was selected based on their experience and expertise in this area. So that being said, if you want to come up and just kind of introduce yourself and.
Appreciate you, the opportunity. My name is Carl Gibellaro. I'm a senior associate and transportation department manager for Dewberry Engineers here in North Carolina. We've been working with Christina and Hunter for a while, trying to get the project scoped and negotiated and all. And we had a conversation about a week ago, I guess, and with the funding agreement that Marvin has with NCDOT, I mean, it can be overwhelming when you're looking at it. But it's something that I've been working with NCDOT federally funded projects for about 20 years now. It's standard operating for any really NCDOT projects going on. So Dewberry understands all the ins and outs of that contracts, what NCDOT is looking for. Bottom line is there's a set of rules that have to be followed so that Marvin can be reimbursed for monies on the project. And we don't want to do anything that will impact that. We want to make sure that you guys are getting your money. We've followed projects, similar projects in Cornelius, Huntersville, Charlotte, Greensboro, with the same process. It's the local, locally administered projects process. It's all the same throughout the state, regardless of the municipality. So, like I said, we've been doing this many times. As we came through doing our estimate for this contract, we recognize that our fee is higher than what was originally allocated in the estimate.
Real quick, Carl, if you don't mind, I just want to interrupt you real quick, just so you all know, the original estimate for the engineering and planning phase was, our portion was $96,000 with the, okay, can you just come up here if you don't mind? Just so, yeah. I just want you guys to see the disparity and kind of, he's going to address what we're going to do to fix the disparity. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
That's all
wanted them to
right.
clarify that.
But when those initial estimates are prepared, a lot of times it's just a per mile cost. They don't take into account the nuances of the area. Are there going to be historic properties, which are going to have to be looked at from a federal perspective? Are there a lot of utilities? Is there going to be a lot of public input? There's different things you have to look at, but since they're looking at a high level, they don't see those details. As we were preparing our man-day estimate, we looked at other similar projects that we've completed, and we're in line with the other projects as far as the level of effort that's going to be necessary in order to check all the boxes so that you guys can go ahead and get reimbursed for those monies. I don't know who did the original estimate, and I'm not criticizing it. I just know it's done at a very high level, just kind of a desktop analysis. The monies that you guys have right now are divided into three pots: preliminary engineering, which is where we are right now to do the designs, right-of-way acquisition, and then construction. Those pots the monies can be shifted between those pots. That is allowable. But as we go through the process, particularly with the preliminary engineering, we're going to have three key milestone submittals. We're going to have 30% plans, 65%, 90, and 100. As we go through each of those phases, we're going to have more and more detail, and we'll be able to really identify what are the actual costs going to be on the project. As we're going through, we're looking at almost like a reverse period. We're here. We got all these unknowns right now. Get down to 30%, we'll be here. Get down to 65%, even though it's 65, you think, okay, that's just a little bit over half. That's really when right-of-way plans are prepared, and we should have nailed down the vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, how far are we going to extend into the adjacent properties, and we'll really know what the actual costs are going to be for the project at that point. Once we do know the actual cost of the project, the town can go back to CRTPO for what's called shortfall funding. Shortfall funding is very common. Change orders associated with uncovering things as you go through with the project happens all the time. You try to account for that early on in the process, but something's always going to pop up, and not only that, but just price escalation. We saw a few years ago when the price of oil went up, construction costs went through the roof. You've all seen how right-of-way costs have gone up. So if you got a right-of-way estimate from 3-4 years ago, probably not very accurate for what you're going to face now. So we will try to uncover all that as we go through. As we go through with the shortfall funding, like I said, it's something common. CRTPO, Hunter informed me that they recently increased the pot of money available for that shortfall funding because it is so common on projects today. But as, like I said, as the unknowns become better defined, the amount that's going to be necessary for shortfall funding, the village can go back to CRTPO for that. You really don't want to go back multiple times. So as I said earlier, you can borrow funds from the later phases to now. So once we have all of everything defined, better defined, then you can go back and do the shortfall funding request and to get the additional monies that we need to complete the project. If by some reason the shortfall funding is not available to the village, there are other avenues that we can take to try to do this. We can take a phased approach with the project. Just build a portion of it. When other monies become available, then we'll build the next portion and so on. There's grants available. The IIJA Build Back Better Act, the federal government passed a few years ago. There's a number of grants available for non-vehicle type projects that the village could apply for. Dewberry has done a lot of work on grant writing and trying to get different grants for different clients that we have. That's something that we could assist you with in the future if needed. But that's just another option. And there's other avenues that we go. CRTPO may have additional funds coming in that may not be for shortfall, but there's another avenues that we can try to get it. So there's a lot of options that we can have. But bottom line, we know there's a limited budget on the project. We're trying to come up with what's a realistic budget, and we want to stick to that. We don't want to just, we know we don't have a blank checkbook. We know we don't have unlimited resources. We have to try to work with what we have, but we need to make sure what we're asking for is realistic overall. As Dewberry goes through this project, we're going to be intimately involved with the design, design of the utility relocations. There's a number of utilities up and down the road that we're going to have to move. We've got a firm on board to help with right-of-way acquisition, and they are going to be the ones who will be negotiating with the properties to buy whatever properties any land that we may need in order to build the shared use path. Also, we'll look at trying to help us come up with any easements that we might need for the project moving forward. And in the end, we'll also be around for the construction administration of the project. Once the project is let and is under construction, we'll still be around. So if there's any questions during the construction, or if the contractor says, hey, we need a design change for this, that, or the other thing, we'll be available to assist the village with that, as well as helping you guys pull together the contracting documents prior to the let for the project.
So it sounds like we're just paying more upfront than we were planning on and less in the back end. Oh, don't say it. Go ahead, yes and no.
Yep.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't on. The contract that you have in front of you is roughly $567,000. In the original budget, on the grant submittal, which was conducted in 2019, so we had a lot of.
Hold on, it's not this one. It's not what Austin printed out. Stop looking at that one. It's the one that's on your iPad, sorry.
Yeah. Hunter's pulling up those phases, and he can go over the numbers. I think he'll tell you, but I think it's 223,000.
Phase one's 234. and
234.
So, and we're on the hook for 40% of that, which is at 96,000, roughly.
Our portion was 96,000, but the total planning and engineering was 234.
34,000, yeah.
Whereas this contract you have in front of you is 567. So it's obviously much higher than what was originally estimated back in 2019. Again, we still have to pay 100% of this until we're reimbursed, so we would be on the hook for the 560 as DOT is reimbursing us back. But it is going to take them some time to get this project done, so we'll slowly start chipping away at that. That slightly changes Jill's PAL bill tracker, road tracker that y'all have been seeing a couple of times in terms of the cash flow. So that being said, phase 2 would be right-of-way, which we had budgeted
Total 157,
157, and then construction was,
1.3 million.
so the plan is we would take this difference here and borrow from the construction phase, and by the time they get done sharpening up the numbers, we will have a better estimate of how much the construction's actually going to cost. If we are projected at that point to go into a shortfall, we will request funding from CRTPO for shortfall. If we get denied, then we'll just have to do the phased approach. As he's mentioning, they would handle that. The planning and engineering has to be done so we know where we're going in terms of right-of-way, how much the construction's gonna be. There are future change orders that I know we need to talk about that we haven't put into this scope because we don't know until we know what the costs are gonna be. We don't have construction oversight for you guys. We don't have any we have high-level assistance on right-of-way acquisition, but we really haven't firmed up who's actually gonna be knocking on the doors. Can you sign this paper? So if we just decide to use Dewberry or one of their affiliates, we would have to go after a change order for that portion as well. Is there any other change orders that I might be missing?
If it comes out to, and we want to try to identify some additional grants,
Okay.
That could be an additional change order.
So the reason, Carl and I met with Hunter a couple weeks ago, and we kind of hashed out some of the issues that we had. Primarily, the contract that we have with DOT is very, very detailed, and it has a lot of technical expertise. It looks like that. If you can just hold it up so they can see it. This is the one that's in your agenda packet. It's a 22-page document, if I remember correctly. A lot of detail, a lot of finite stuff in there that staff obviously can't handle professional engineers have to do that, which is why we've called these folks on board to basically take that document and own it. That's their responsibility after we sign our contract with them. They're gonna make sure that we're following all those rules and standards within that contract. Aside from that, they will help us through the bidding process with the right-of-way relocations. We're just not, the utility relocations. The right-of-way, we need to figure out who's gonna assist us on that. They can, we just don't have that in this contract. And then the construction oversight.
So it's not, the right-of-way acquisition's not in here?
It is not.
Because it says number 7.
Can you go over what your right-of-way involvement's gonna be?
I think it is on there. We've to identify the right-of-way cost, and it's for the initial, it's for identifying and getting the
Tabulation.
estimates. It's
Yeah.
because we don't know how many parcels are going to have to be acquired or
Got
how
it.
many different things.
Okay.
We don't have that, the physical
And who's
reaching
gonna
out is
do
not
it?
there yet, yeah.
They're gonna put together the tabulation sheet. All these parcels, this is roughly how much it's probably worth. They're just not, we don't have who's knocking on the doors to get the paperwork signed, to get the legal paperwork
And we
set
will
up.
obviously give whoever information of where we already have easements granted
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
know we've got a
Yeah.
few.
Correct.
A few. Could probably get a
Yes, we
couple
have
more.
one completed, I mean, we have a portion completed, which is the preserved portion outside on Marvin Road.
You have the easement for Innisbrook.
We have the easement for Innisbrook.
We have
We
the
ha-
easement from Innisbrook to Saddle. Or we've talked to them and
We
they.
have talked with the property owners on Saddle. The Marvin Grove development is doing their portion or pay a portion thereof. So it's coming, and there have been preliminary conversations with the churches prior to me. So, I mean, all that legwork was done prior to us getting to this point. I mean, so yes, there might be some cost savings later on in this process, but regardless, we got to get to the preliminary engineering and get the plans done and figure out what's needed before we can figure out the actual numbers.
And we recognize that's going to be a fluid process as easements come in, as we've already start the process. So we'll constantly be coordinating with Hunter, and he's already sent us some now, so we're already aware of.
Good.
But I fully expect more to come in as we go forward.
So again, it's just gonna be more upfront cost
Hopefully.
than we thought, and hopefully, as you said,
Yeah.
inverted triangle.
One of the things that we did for them is, and to help us as well in setting the budget for this, is the updates that he's mentioning, the 30% update, the 50% update. I don't know what the exact percentages are, but he's gonna come back, or a representative's gonna come back and say, hey, we're 30% done with plans. We've identified all the utilities. We've identified all the maybe problem areas that we're gonna have. We're estimating the scope of the construction to be X at this point. But we're gonna do a little more work and see if we can do a couple more things on utilities, and I'm just using that as an example. So he'll come back at is it 75%?
65 and 90.
65%, and he'll say, all right, we've updated the construction, we think it's actually gonna be Y at this point. So we're gonna get periodic updates to know if we're actually gonna be in the real shortfall, or if we're gonna be kind of where we targeted to be on the construction phase.
Okay,
So y'all will have that well in advance of us starting.
okay. Does anybody have any questions for Craig or Hunter or Christina?
Two questions, actually. One is, and this is just kind of an off-the-wall question, but did y'all by chance work with Huntersville, Lake Norman area for some of their stuff? Because I got presentations on some of that last night.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. What's the first part?
Huntersville, did y'all work on any projects with Huntersville? You mentioned Huntersville.
Right.
And I didn't know if you'd worked on some of the projects with them?
We're
in the
working
past?
on a sidewalk on NC 115
Okay, yep, okay.
now.
And then the second question is, I guess this is probably for us, but also for Hunter as well. When we start talking about the shortfalls, will we start to see those early enough? Because I'm on the CRTPO board, that when I go to the board, I can start greasing the skids of knowing what
Right.
those shortfalls can be. So, it's not like we wait to the very end and go, okay, we're sure, we have a shortfall of $75,000.
Right.
And they go, oh, well, we didn't know that. will we be able to kind of identify what our possible shortfalls will be so I can start
Yeah.
having that communication and dialogue
As
with
we go
them?
through the process, like I said, like right now, everything's really an unknown. 30%, we'll whittle that down. 65% is when we'll have a really good feel for where things stand, as far as from a cost standpoint, construction and right-of-way. The way the process works is, once we complete with our plans, the 100% plans, then right-of-way can start. Construction can't start until right-of-way is complete. Right-of-way may take a year, anywhere from 9 to 18 months to complete. During that time, if we know we got the shortfall of construction, you'll have that window to try to get the additional funds, if not earlier. Going forward. So it's not going to be one of those things where I tell you in July and you need to have the money by August. There's going to be a gap to do that,
Okay, thank you.
sir.
Do you have, you just gave us a part of the timeline, do you have a complete timeline of when you're doing your work and stuff, an estimate of?
Like for construction?
Yes.
And all, not yet, until we know exactly what we're dealing with, it's hard to try to nail that down.
Okay, and then what you're trying to find out now, how long is that? Is that 5 months, 6 months?
I think we're looking at 12 months, Hunter? I think we came up with, yeah,
So, okay, so we're in for the long haul.
yeah.
Okay, good. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to need a motion to approve this. Anybody want to do it?
Okay, I make a motion.
Want me to do it?
No, Jamie's doing it.
I got it. I make a motion to enter to an agreement with Dewberry Engineers for the engineering services for the Marvin Loop Project BL-0012 at cost not to exceed $567,482 for all items covered within the scope of work for the project, contingent upon NCDOT and village attorney final review and approval, and authorize the village manager to execute with any minor modifications and amendments thereto.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
right, thank
Appreciate
you.
your time today.
Thanks.
All right, next up, presentation of community video. Tyler. Tyler is not here. Austin.
In the absence of Tyler, I will be Tyler.
You don't look a thing like Tyler,
I have the same accent.
His hair is too short.
sort of.
All right, so,
I'd just like to make a note that Bob Markleese has joined us at 9:23 a.m.
So this is a project that we were working on for the last couple of years, just trying to gather a good community video to put on our website for anyone just wanting to know what Marvin is. So we hired a photographer, a videographer. She actually lives in Marvin. She put this photo, or this video that you're getting ready to see together. It took about a year for us to compile because we wanted to have a lot of major events that are in the video that you're going to see, but this is what we will have on our website.
good. Love it. Good job, everybody.
Is there anything you guys thought was missing? You like it? You guys?
Yes and no. No, I thought it looked good. I mean, can we add to it as we have more events? Oh, here
May
we
I
go.
say something?
Sure, Mayor.
Not sure why they had Cuthbertson High School in there. It should be Marvin Ridge High School.
That's actually a good point.
It did show Marvin Ridge. It also showed Cuthbertson.
Yeah,
because
but
we do have some
Cuthbertson,
students that
it's-
go there. That was why it was what it was saying.
Yeah,
Cuthbertson's in
I mean, that's
Waxhaw.
that's what popped out to me right away. I mean, as far as that goes. And then, and no offense, and I'm not a videographer and know what's what, but I mean, showing a picture to the left of before you saw the Publix sign, it was just some thing. Why not just a shot of Publix, you know, versus scanning from the left to the right? If you look at that, you'll see some verbiage that I don't even know if it makes sense, but there's, you know, maybe just a shot of Publix. Same thing for, I think the Dunkin' Donuts. I get it, but, you know, if you think about Marvin, Dunkin' Donuts doesn't come out to me. Yes, it's in there, I get that, but that doesn't, it's our first commercial, but I'd rather just show the Publix, you know, as the front of that building and maybe scan from a far distance or whatever, but that's just me.
You're talking about the fire department connection is the sign that you're talking about on Publix. We can get her to take that off. She did take shots of the Publix area, I think, last year. So we could probably see if she can go back and see if there's anything that's changed and takes a couple different angle shots.
Yeah.
And then we'll get that school changed.
And I don't know, I mean, maybe there are a few, you said there are a few students that go to Cuthbertson that live in Marvin?
Yeah, I think in Valhalla, actually, some of those folks.
That's right, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, maybe if we add some of the restaurants that are in the
Yeah,
Publix
yeah.
shopping center, now that we have a few, there's actually, I think,
Yeah.
4, right? Something like that, so.
We'll get her to take a couple
Yeah, I
different
mean,
ones.
even that like sitting area, like over to the right of Publix, when you're looking at Publix, that area is kind of a, you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna criticize, because I think the music was good and it was inspiring and it's just kind of cool and all, you know, that we're, but and just little
Okay.
things.
We'll come
got
back to her.
One of the questions I had, and this is kind of my first introduction to this, but was there a specific intent for what the intended use of this is?
Yeah, we originally, I think if I remember correctly, we talked about, it's probably almost been 2 years ago, we talked about this as just kind of showing people what Marvin was when we were going out and asking for sponsors for Marvin Day.
Okay.
That's kind of how it all started, and then we wanted to show them like who we are.
Yeah.
So, I don't think there was a real serious intent.
Well, it's also, I mean, it's also intended to, for, you know, if I'm in New York or Montana and I want to move to Charlotte, what are some of the surrounding areas? And if I'm able to go to something like that and see that, I'm like, you know what, that's where I'd really like to start there, looking at homes in that area, or you know, making that change. So I think it's a good way of giving a representation of who we are, but also kind of a multimedia. I think the one thing that, and you just added, we're one of 4 million-dollar cities. That
Communities in North Carolina.
I think that should be added in there. I don't know, Christina, if I'm sure you know about that, right? Just added in one of the, you know, the blurbs that kind of pops in. I think that should be one of the first ones that pops in, so people can say, you know, because we are special, and we are, you know, I do, you know, what popped out to me was that I see the trail systems and, you know, walking community, and I'm reading something that says, I'm assuming that that's 100% of Marvin doesn't want trails.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm perplexed, I'm confused, but I'm going to go with it. But I thought they did a good job of highlighting the trail systems and connectivity between neighborhoods and stuff, because I do personally, and as Joe says all the time, opinion of one, I think that is an added plus, that there is connectivity.
Yeah.
But that's my,
Okay, good. So we'll make a couple of tweaks and then moving on. Okay, fantastic. Next up, reports and updates, managers' reports. Christina.
Couple things, let's see. Upcoming grants, I told you all at the last meeting that we were working on some grants with the funding that we received, not we, but the League of Municipalities received for a grant writer that we're using. We entered a contract with the league for those services. I think it's $30,000 for the grant writer. So I had her working on 2 different grants. One was called Safe Streets for All, and the other one was a stormwater infrastructure program. Unfortunately, the stormwater is only for implementation. We really need to have a plan before we can implement anything, so we're not going to do the stormwater. We're going to stick our focus on the Safe Streets for All, and it's for planning. So we would basically have a planning process of what sidewalks we're going to put together if we're awarded any grants. They do have an implementation grant, but the only one that we're doing for this phase is the planning. So just kind of putting together a plan for what sidewalks are our highest priority for creating safe streets to schools. Just wanted to give you an update on that. And then, did you find the memo? Okay. Any questions on that? Waxhaw Bonds Grove, want to talk to you real quick about the no left turn. I sent you all an email. Mayor Polino had recommended a idea to pose to DOT to implement a no left turn at that intersection. They have said no. So that's not an option at this point. So we're back to square one with the off-duty law enforcement, if you all still wanted us to keep that into our budget for the reflective tax increase that's needed.
I mean, I think it's something we need to talk about because we've got people in the community saying, well, if we're going to put officers there at that corner, we need to put officers here at this corner and officers here at this corner and officers here at this corner because they're all bad. So at what point do we just say, okay, we're not going to put officers anywhere? I don't love the $400,000 for it. I'm not going to lie. I don't love having to pay that tax increase. So at what point, because I'm sure you all got the email, we've got a resident who said, okay, well, if you're going to do that and you're going to increase our taxes there, then we're going to need, an officer here, 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 and here. And then you're going to have more people throughout all of Marvin saying, okay, well, the corner at Joe Carr and Marvin's terrible. The corner at Joe Carr and Marvin School Road's terrible. At what point are we, I don't know. There's got to be a point where we're just like, okay, we're not spending any more money on this stuff.
I think there'll be a point where we cannot afford to spend any more money.
We can't afford to spend it now. We don't have it now. So is that time now?
That's something we need to talk about.
I've said before that I'm not comfortable with spending the money for convenience. If it was a real safety issue, then I would be all about it, but I don't feel like it's I think with a little bit of patience, that intersection's fine. I understand why the Marvin and Newtown one, we put officers there. That was a safety issue, very much a safety issue. But I traverse this intersection many times a week, depending on the week. Sometimes I go through there 20 times. Sometimes I only do it 3 times. But in any of the times that I've been through there, if you wait at the stop sign and you wait for traffic to clear, you might have to wait a minute, but you can get a clear sight line and it is safe to traverse the intersection. Yes, it's a convenience issue, no doubt. With all the traffic coming from Waxhaw, there's a huge convenience issue there. But that doesn't warrant law enforcement to direct traffic to make people scoot through there easier. So
I still kind of disagree on that. I too have heartburn with the numbers that we have in terms of $400,000 a year. I think it is a little bit different from that standpoint because the number of required officers that they're saying we would need would be higher. I don't see it just as an inconvenience issue, as Andy states here, because I think we've seen that it has been an increase in accidents at that intersection. I think it's also part of the reason why Union County has identified it as a concerning intersection. And if we don't start doing it now, it's only going to continue to get worse over the next 2 or 3 years. It seems like all of the other options that we've kind of discussed in being able to help resolve some of those things, whether it's a 3-way stop, whether it's a no left turn, those keep kind of getting shut down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the only thing that's left there. So, I would say that we do take a look at, and it's also, it depends on where you're coming from and where you're going. If you typically go through that intersection, but it's not taking the left from Bonds Grove onto Waxhaw Marvin, where you have really kind of a blind scene in front of you, or if you're not taking that left onto, in many cases, if you're just going Bonds Grove onto Waxhaw Marvin towards the school, yeah, that's easy. Nobody ever really has to stop there. So a lot of it is really dependent on where the traffic, is coming from. And the other kind of component to it is that, literally most of that traffic at that times is really because of Marvin Ridge High School there. People coming from Providence Road, from Weddington Chase, a lot of stuff. So those key times is when you have a lot of novice drivers kind of navigating that particular section of road because it's so close to the high school. And that's where, novice drivers, you talk about impatience, but they also don't make the best decisions.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. And I mean, I'm very torn on this whole situation because I'm with you there with novice drivers. To Jamie's point, like I would be, I'd have heartburn really bad and feel really bad if something terrible happened. Let me go back. I said this was going to cost us $400,000. It's not. It's $238,000. It's still that's a big number. That's a $1.50 increase in your taxes. But with that being said, what I keep coming back to is most of the people that are coming through that intersection are not Marvin residents. At some point, why are people, because there are people that live in Waxhaw that are down Bonds Grove, that are down Waxhaw Marvin, that are in unincorporated Union County, why is it Marvin's responsibility? Because we've always just done it and, we're going to leave it to Marvin to do. At some point, people who are very irritated that the traffic is backing up there, it's not a safe intersection, you need to go to the county. You need to go to Waxhaw. You need to go to the state because it's not Marvin's responsibility. It's really the state's responsibility because it's not our road. We tried to make it our road. We tried to help out, but that got shot down. So at the end of the day, it's not our road. Why is it our responsibility? Because we've done it before? I just don't think it's our responsibility. Go to the county, go to the state, go to Waxhaw, because the majority of the people coming through there are not Marvin residents.
Yeah.
I have real heartburn over this number for this. And I don't disagree with the residents who have sent this in and said, well, if you're going to do it there, you got to do it here, 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 and here. So, because again, why is this Marvin's responsibility? If somebody can give me a really good reason for that, then I'll look at it a different way. But it's not our road. It's not our responsibility. There are 3 other government entities that people should be going to about this: Waxhaw, Union County, and the state of North Carolina.
If you need support, I totally support that. That was well put. Thank you. This is ridiculous. We have a lot of money that we're going to be paying out, especially for this roundabout, and I totally agree with that. It's like we always are trying to spend money. Stop it. This is not our responsibility. We'll do everything we can to pull other entities in to try to help, other townships, whatever it might be, that they can contribute. I can lean a little bit that way, but this is, there's got to be a point we stop. We're doing everything we can to make it happen, the project. I mean, when we don't even have the money, so we had a bond that would pay for that, and now, taxes are going to go up to accommodate that roundabout. fine, okay, well, all right, we're gonna figure this out. But to spend money like we did, you know, on Marvin and Newtown, you got my support on that.
Is Hunter here?
He'll be right back. He just grabbed something off the printer.
So last night, again, I don't know if I don't know if this is a viable option or not, but last night at the CRTPO meeting, there was a presentation about where you can do, it's almost like a short-term project to see if something would actually work. So, before we pull the trigger on this, let me go back to Neil at CRTPO and engage that program, because they were actually, it was really unique, but they were actually setting up where if you had a potential roundabout going in, where they would actually put like tape and stuff down and paint it where it looked like a roundabout. So to see if it worked, they would put in temporary crossing stuff to see if it would work. So before we pull the trigger on this and before we, you know, start paying money or not paying or saying we're just going to completely shut it down, would y'all be open to me going back to Neil and saying, hey, can I engage that short-term program stuff? And I think I can get it done within, you know, the next couple weeks or so, to see if that's maybe an option. I don't know if it's a funding option that they can provide for us, but maybe there's something in that could help us there.
I mean, I'm all for trying to think outside the box and look at other opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. We're not making a decision on the budget today. So we don't need a decision today, but I'm all of the people that are going to come and stomp their feet and go online and say how horrible we are and that we have our own agenda, if you can tell me why it's Marvin's responsibility, then I'll look at it differently. But in the same breath, I'm going to come back to you and say, have you contacted your Union County commissioners? Have you contacted Waxhaw? Have you contacted, if you don't live in Waxhaw, that's fine, but a lot of the people are coming from Waxhaw. Have you contacted your state representatives? Because those are going to be the questions that I come back to you with. So before you stomp your feet and say, oh, Marvin, you're terrible, you've done it for other places, but you're not doing it for us, then I'm going to come back to you and ask you where you are with the Union County commissioners, because we've asked multiple times, and we've asked Waxhaw multiple times. So until you, the community, decides to engage with your other government entities, we can't do much more. And if you can show me why it's Marvin's responsibility, then I'm happy to look at it differently. But otherwise, it's just not our responsibility. It's not our road at the end of the day. Again, we tried to make it our road, but it's not.
Kim, I just noticed something, and John and I just added this up. That's not 238, that's 344 if you add all those numbers together.
I'm
That's
sorry, it's
300
$344.
$344,000, so you're getting closer to that $400,000 mark. No matter how you slice it, it's extremely expensive to put officers there. But $344,000 is, what, 2 cents? Yeah, about 2 cents tax, if you equate it. So, you know, and to your point, this is a snowball thing. So where do we stop? If we put officers at this intersection, do we put officers at other intersections? And now we're talking 10-cent increase in taxes to put officers at every intersection in the village that people feel like it warrants,
Well,
traffic direction.
I could argue with the same vigor, Joe Carr and Marvin Road, you try to pull out at certain times. Now, you can do it during the middle of the day and it's fine. But at 5 o'clock, you could sit there for 10 minutes.
It's dangerous.
Because I've sat there. So
We know
the
that there
vast
needs to-
majority of residents go through that intersection. The least majority of
Right.
minority of residents go through that one. So again, I'm only saying that not to poke holes at, or go back to each of you. It's just, I'm just highlighting where the slippery slope can go, because I've sat at Joe Carr and Marvin and said, this has got to change. Eventually there's going to be a roundabout going in there, and we're going to have to pay for that one as well. I found out that they're not free. No one's giving them away. And it is going to cost us more money for that. But I can argue that one probably more so than that one. If I'm going to look at a number to raise taxes, I can pay more for that one than that one.
Is there a consensus to staff to not put it in the budget at this point and let you do your magic with CRTPO?
Can you just give me a couple weeks?
Okay.
I will expedite meeting with that group to see, because I thought they gave a great presentation, and can I at least do that?
Okay, yeah, we'll bring it back up at the budget work
I'm all
session.
for it. If you can help find a remedy to this,
Hey,
Jamie.
listen, but if nothing else, we're always looking for alternatives, and I think we've exhausted all the alternatives. This one just so happened, I sat through the presentation last night, and I can go, and maybe I highlight where CRTPO can help, maybe go to it from a state standpoint, because let's leverage them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can just give me that amount of time, and maybe that's another option we can put on the table.
Yeah, that's good. Jill, but will you come with doing it and without doing it, and let us see what it looks like? Yes.
But I will need it, I'll give you the dates of the next budget work session, so you know how much time you really have to do what you want to do.
Well, no, I mean, either way, regardless of what Jamie comes back with, we're going to need to know what it looks like if we do it, or what it looks like if we don't do it. So just, he doesn't matter, like,
The nenext budget work session is 5/14, just
yeah,
so you know.
yeah, that doesn't, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item I had is the Marvin Development Ordinance FAQ. We just passed out, we plan on getting this out today for the public. We've had a lot of questions. We've had some people emailing us. I'm sure people have emailed you guys. But this is kind of the frequently asked questions that we've seen. I'm not asking you to go through and read all the answers today, but I would like you to look at least the questions and make sure that there's nothing that we may be missing.
Just
I'll just-
all, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, just to also note, one of you guys is missing the back page. It should be 6 pages in total, front and back. So if you only have 4, let me know.
I'm just going to quickly go over it too. When we get to the end, somebody will just say that they're missing the page and we can give it to them because we've got it right here. So the very first page is just kind of the history of where we are, how we got here. Flip over to the second page. The first question is, what's been the process? Hunter goes into detail about what the process has been since we said we were going to do this. The next question is, when will it be adopted? We have the answer in there. At the May 14th is when you guys will listen to it, the public hearing. You can take action at that point. We have a link to the actual UDO. The next question is, how much public involvement was allowed during this process and how much will be allowed before it's adopted? We went through a brief history of how much we've had, and then the public hearing, they can speak at that point. The next question is, when will it be in effect? Immediately after adoption. How will current development projects be affected? We go into the answer on that one. Why are current ordinances being replaced and not rewritten? He answers that pretty good. Moving over 2 more pages. What is a rezoning and how does it relate to the MDO? Then he goes into the conventional zoning and conditional zoning and what they are. And then the next page, he gets into the residential districts and kind of outlines what those residential districts mean so that people can understand what that means for their individual property. Moving over to the next page, he goes over the table that basically outlines the minimum lot size for each residential district. Our zoning district's changing, and then he outlines the process for that. The next question is, why are some established neighborhoods proposed to be zoned in a certain residential district? That's one of the questions that we've had, and he explains to them why they're in that certain district, and it's basically based off of the lot size. What about undeveloped land? He goes into answering that. Why are there so many new zoning districts with uses that were not in the old zoning districts? So he goes in to answer that. Why are there so many new development regulations? He answers that one. What is the table of listed uses and why is that important? Why control permitted uses? And then the last, this is the page that someone's missing. Will there be townhomes built in Marvin? And he answers that question. Are there any things that I asked that you guys didn't, anything that you think we should add? Or you think that pretty much covers it? It's a very long document. I hate to put something this large out, but it is a very in-depth, big deal, so we want to make sure we're getting too much information than not enough.
Who's missing the page? Who's missing the page? I'm missing the page. Okay.
First, great job on putting this together. It's forward-thinking. It cuts through all the items when people come back and say transparency, so we're forward-thinking. We're taking a great job on putting this together, Hunter. And I know you didn't put this together in 15 minutes. The other thing that I would have, that you could provide an answer for us through, and through, is it Rick? Because I know this is going to come up. People are going to say, we're the only municipality in North Carolina to do this because we have something to hide. I know that's going to come up. So I want to have in my back pocket all the other municipalities, and I don't need to know them in alphabetical order. I don't need to know how many exactly. I just need to know, provide me a list of municipalities that we would recognize that have gone through this same process. And I know that Rick has talked about it because I've talked to him about it, but to give us that ammunition, not, I shouldn't say ammunition, but give us that information so we can have the dialogue that, this is something that as a resident, you should be proud that we're doing, or I don't know, proud, but you should respect the fact that we're doing it, and there's a reason that we're doing it, but we're not the only municipality that's engaged in doing this process.
I mean, and I'll just point out that everybody for the most part is aware that Charlotte just did a UDO. It was a very lengthy process, but that's also, it's very similar, but we're I'm going to say watered down because we don't have as many different type of zoning districts, residential districts, all this other type of stuff because we're not Charlotte. Weddington also just redid theirs within the last 5 years. I don't know who their consultant was, but regardless, that and Waxhaw, similar to you, as I know that they've redone theirs in the last couple of years. So it's a trendy thing, especially with the 160D updates. Our previous ordinances were updated to comply with that 160D. I do want to clarify that one point because I know in here, part of the reason we're doing this is to make sure we're compliant with state statutes. Our old ordinance was updated to be compliant with state statutes, but it still didn't fix all the other issues that we were having with inconsistencies and redundancies and other stuff. So, but yeah, no, I'll make sure to mention that. Do you want me to?
When is this going to go out?
Today, unless you guys have any questions, comments.
I would just, I would like how much public involvement was allowed during this process. I would just like something put in there that says as much as you wanted, because you could have come to council meetings, you could have come to coffee with council, you could have scheduled a meeting. We've been talking about this for a year now. Yeah, planning board meetings. We've been talking about this for a year. So I would really just, as much as you have engaged, because again, and I say a lot, and people don't think it's cute, but I think it's fun. I can take you to the water, I can put your mouth down to it, but I can't make you drink it. So we can give you all the information. The information is here. I do realize that, people say that they're listening. They go back and listen to meetings. They listen to meetings live. My question to them is, do you listen to all of the meetings? Do you understand? Because we've got people online saying, we're putting in townhomes. And we've got people online saying, what is wrong with these people? I swear they are the worst. They have their own agenda, and it doesn't include doing what the people of Marvin want. Whatever benefits them and their agenda, everything goes in one ear and out the other. We do not have townhomes. I've been on the council for over 6 years. Could I have had townhomes? I surely could have. Do we have townhomes? No, we do not. Is there any place in here that says that we are going to have townhomes? No, there does not. If you were really listening, then listen. Because I am tired of people out there taking bits and pieces and turning it for their own agenda. Our agenda is to do what's best for the village of Marvin, and that is making sure that we're compliant with state statutes. That is to make sure that when we do have developers coming in, that we have everything straightened out so that there is no confusion, to make sure that this is what complies with state statutes. If you have questions, then please come and ask us. Do not get your information from Nextdoor or Facebook or any other social media form. But I am tired of people saying, oh, they're the worst, because this is the same person who said, well, can somebody give me the crayon version of what the UDO is? So if you have a question, call us. I will sit down and have a conversation with you. In no place are we going to have townhomes currently, okay? Again, if we wanted townhomes, we could have had them over there on the corner of Waxhaw Marvin and Newtown Road. Somebody proposed it, we said no. We have done more to protect the village of Marvin and the surrounding areas than any other council has done. There was a proposed 300-plus unit apartment building that was in unincorporated Union County that was right on the border of Marvin, and we went through hoops to make sure that that did not go through. So stop saying how awful we are, because we're not. Stop saying what our agenda is, because if I wanted townhomes, I'd have had townhomes by now. I don't want townhomes. I don't think anybody on this council wants townhomes. But we have to prepare and put the tools in the toolbox so that we can not have townhomes. So to the people online who are just legitimately trying to stir the pot, come in and let's sit down and have a face-to-face. I'm happy to do that, but stop hiding behind your computer.
We can get those, that information in that question. Are there any other questions you guys felt were missed or left out?
No, but let's talk about the MDO public engagement session, because I hope that these people who are just stirring the pot online come to that meeting, because they really need to be educated, because clearly them sitting at home listening to us is not actually educating them on what is actually happening.
So, good segue into that. So because of all the public engagement and involvement that was done as a part of the UDO with the planning board spent, over a year on this project. You guys have heard updates. Y'all have had joint sessions with them, had periodic updates as well as a part of the planning board updates. We didn't prepare to do this info session. It wasn't part of our scope with our consultant, because we felt like we were going to get feedback and input from those other opportunities. So we don't have anything we don't have a prepared presentation. We felt like it would just be a quick drop-in Q&A, allow the flexibility for people to come in as they can during the 2-hour segment. We're not preparing anything fancy. It's just literally just pop in like a coffee with cancel event.
Okay.
You guys can sit down and chat
Do
with
you
us.
guys, I will be here. I think as many council members that can be here should be here. And I think obviously staff needs to be here. Do we want Rick to be here?
He is going to be.
Okay, are we going to have planning board here?
I do know, so this, in short, this got brought up when planning board made their recommendation last week. I do know of a few planning board members that have volunteered to be here. At that time, this was kind of an idea. I had to talk with Christina and wanted to run it by you guys prior to us kind of actually scheduling it. So I will get an email out to them today and get which members, but.
Because they're the ones who have been hands-on with this.
Yeah, the intent is, if you're a resident, you come in, it's your opportunity to ask questions. And that's where Rick and I will kind of be at, is that since we're more of the technical people, I think that either council or planning board have a very good understanding to be able to answer kind of generic kind of questions, or just, point them in where certain things are at, maybe at a certain article, and just look it up and go from there. Where then Rick and I can really answer more detailed or whatever questions that either council or planning board does not feel comfortable answering. But this is the intent, to understand why certain properties are zoned some way, why we have such an expanded table of permitted uses in so many new zoning districts in the MDO, but not, why is the zoning district in the ordinance, but not shown on the map, all that type of stuff. It's a chance to kind of read this FAQ, get at least a good understanding, get familiar with the ordinance, but then come to that open house to really kind of grasp it if that's what, the public really wants to take that opportunity to understand it.
Okay. So I think as many planning board members that can be here would be really good. So if you can ask them, that
And
would be good.
And I've had a planning board member reach out to me that basically had been on it a long time and wants to be here to really show in person the evolution of years ago where it was and how we are now. And the person wanted to make a point of saying that and being available to the public and saying, I've been on the planning board a long time and I've seen the ordinance a long time, so that'll help too.
Okay, good. So 5 to 7 on May 8th. So all of those out there that have questions, mark your calendar. If May 8th, 5 to 7 does not work for you, please call Village Hall and we will schedule an individual meeting with you. Okay, May 8th. Stop going online and stirring the pot.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next up, Clerk and Communications Report, Austin.
All right. A couple things. First, you have your May communications list as usual. We'll be promoting the 5K this month. It's for June 1st. Sorry, I'm opening my list here so I can look at it too. Other than that, it's the normal stuff. Memorial Day closure at the end of the month. We'll have a trash delay associated with that. Your meetings. Sorry, my computer is being slow here. Does anyone have any questions? Anything they don't see on the list?
Nope.
All right, second thing is we have a communication request from a Marvin Creek resident. They're just asking that we publicize their community yard sale. We've done this for the past 2 years. We've done this for Wyndham Hall in the past. Previously, you guys were okay with this, your only stipulation being that we do not post this for non-Marvin neighborhoods.
That's fine.
So hearing no opposition, we'll proceed with publicizing that in the next 2 to 3 newsletters until their event. Lastly, the community survey update. You all previously asked me with setting up a meeting with a resident who volunteered to work on a new community survey. We since had that meeting with Mayor Pro Tem Vandenberg, Mayor Polino, and Councilman Dethridge, myself and Christina. Meeting went well. We feel like we're off to a good starting point. We're gonna keep some of the old questions, rework some of them as well, and create some new questions. We've got a meeting scheduled and a follow-up meeting scheduled next Thursday, I believe. So we're excited to see how this turns out in the next few months.
One question I'd have, the questions are obviously going to be very important to it, but also the method of how we do it. And was that discussed at all? Because I thought actually the last time that we did it, the way that we used personal URLs and...
We're going to do the same thing.
Okay.
That would
I
be
was
our-
just wondering
That
because...
was discussed, and I think that was the best way to do it, so that
Yeah,
it's one
unless
one
somebody can
household.
tell us a better way, I don't think just general online surveys
No.
that can be fudged,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think sending out the cards, you could either respond electronically or physically, yeah.
That's the plan. This meeting next week, I'm not in that.
I'm not sure. Christina, you put this in my calendar.
Yeah, it was just the
Okay, that's
the
fine.
resident, because we want to have some discussion points before we bring it back to you all.
Fine.
Are we going to capture, if we do by the URL, we do it online, are we going to capture where we don't have 50 people with the same email address? So it's going
I
to,
think last time it was one per household,
okay,
It was.
all right, just
One
to
code.
make sure.
which, it
Because,
kind of limits it, because you might have 2, adults in the household, but it kind of keeps it consistent and it keeps it more accurate that way overall.
Last time, I believe it was Centralina that actually did the implementation for that. Is that what we're planning on this time?
We haven't decided how we're going to do it, but that's what we're going to do, but we don't know who's going to do it
You know
yet.
it yet.
And they may have new methodologies that they use now, 5 years later, that
It
are better
it
as
was
well.
suggested by the resident who has done multiple surveys that this would be the preferred method again, so. Okay, anything else, Austin?
Nope.
Okay,
Progress
great.
is progress.
Thank you. Planners report, Hunter. Oh, we're good, fantastic. Event planning, Tyler, come on down, buddy.
That's a first ever.
No,
Marvin Day, Saturday.
this Saturday?
Yeah, you guys are going to be blown away. Yeah, Saturday. We have a
This
big event
Saturday.
going on. So yeah, you guys council to arrive at 2:30. I know y'all talked about carpooling.
I'm gonna be here at 1:55 if anybody wants a ride. And I'm leaving at 1:58 because I have to be at the park by 2 o'clock. Okay?
Just
And if you want a ride, just text me so I don't leave you.
real quick, my wife has requested a spot down there because she will be doing my daughter will be doing the owl thing. with-
That's fine.
So that she can get in. I'll ride with you, but I'm getting her and all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
her
yeah.
gear
No,
in
that's
there,
fine.
that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starts at 4 p.m. Kids Fun Zone will be going on. We'll have a lot of vendors out there, face paint, balloon animals. We'll have a magic show at 5:30. DJ will be out there, bounce houses. Inside the barn, we'll have nature exhibits, animal exhibits. Great place to have some fun for the kids. We have the Breakfast Club playing, starting at 6:15. Then, when they're wrapping up, 9:15, 9:20, we'll end the night with a fireworks show. We'll have 3 food trucks there. We'll have a taco truck, a hot dog and hamburger truck, and we'll have a pizza truck. We will have a coffee vendor there. We will have an Italian ice vendor, and we will also have a local bakery vendor doing sweet treats. We will have a Americana brewery will be there. Yeah, so there's limited parking on site. So plan on parking at Marvin Ridge High School off of Crane Road in the student parking lot. There will be signage there, follow the signs. We'll have a tent set up and some chairs out there. If you're waiting on the shuttle, it'll run every 15 minutes or so.
Do we have any changes to our schedule? I brought my handy dandy packet with me. Any
You're going to get an
changes?
updated one just because there's a little bit of an update to like the stage schedule.
Okay.
So you guys will be getting some new ones at the end of when this is all over with an updated weather forecast for the IEP and stuff like that.
Okay, so when are we gonna get that?
When this
Today?
meeting. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
before we leave?
Yeah,
Got it.
before y'all leave. So
Okay.
just don't leave without letting me hand y'all something.
Okay.
All right, thanks a bunch.
Anything else coming up? Anything else that we've got planned?
Yeah, June 1st, 5K. It'll be at Marvin Elementary School. The 5K will begin at 9 a.m. The Family Fun Run will be at 10 a.m. We'll have a health fair. The blood truck will be out there. We'll have a DJ. We'll have a coffee truck there. And we'll have a couple other local vendors will be out. So that'll be a fun little hangout for everybody. July 12th, that whole weekend. July 12th, let me say this. July 12th, we're doing our stargazing event at Marvin Eford Park. Look for that registration probably in June. It'll pop up online for everybody. We're capping it at around 30 people. It's going to be Friday the 12th. If conditions are right, if conditions aren't right, we will bump it to the 13th, which will be Saturday, and but plan on the 12th. So we have 2 rain dates in mind just in case. That's all that's coming up right now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tyler. All right, next up, Coffee with Council debrief. I know it was Wayne and John, and I think, Wayne, you've got the honors of debriefing.
I was asked not to read the 2-page note that we received of what all was discussed, so I handed it out to everyone. We only had one person, which we dismissed everything at 7 o'clock, right, John? Yeah. We all left. So we were busy, we had people with us, at least one person with us for the entire time.
Yeah, and Wayne, if you just want to kind of summarize what we handed out, it was a resident from Amber Meadows that
And
specifically
basically
wanted to talk about one of the trails that kind of hooks up between.
Well, basically, they was opposing the annexation of the townhomes because that would open up where they could put a trail through the wetlands over to Andes. And she thought that was not a good idea and stated several reasons on the thing. And she did not like the trails. those two items.
Okay.
And you can read
Read all about it?
read all about it and extras.
Fantastic. All right, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, John. Next up, consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next up, unfinished business. Discussion of involuntary annexation. Austin,
Okay.
You're up.
This is a big item. I actually want to open up my cover sheet here. So we were originally going to talk about this at the last work session. So the involuntary annexation process is much more complicated, convoluted than it used to be. In 2008, the council here made the decision to annex almost 2,000 homes. It was, the homeowners submitted petitions to deny the annexation, and then as a result of the size of the annexation that we attempted at the time, we, alongside around 10 other municipalities, were punished by the state. We were banned from forcibly annexing any of those properties again for 12 years. That ban is set to expire on July 1st of this year, meaning that if we wanted to proceed with going through that annexation process with any of these properties, we are free to do so. That process now is a multi-year process. It involves a lot of public input, a lot of meetings, a lot of procedural steps. One of the biggest changes is that whoever is being forcibly annexed gets to vote on it at a referendum. This process called involuntary, it's been called statutory in the past. It's better known today as annexation by referendum or legislative annexation. So under this scenario, only those being annexed get to vote. The vote has to coincide with a municipal election, and you have to get more than 50%. Based on this timeline, if you were to start this process this year, you had an area picked out that you said you wanted to annex by referendum. My estimation is the earliest this vote could occur would be 2027, because it is it's like at least a 3-year process. I don't think you have time to get it on a 2025 ballot and go through all of those steps. But that is something that I would want to do a little more research into.
Austin, when you say you have to get 50%, so like if 4 people voted, they need 3 to say yes?
Yes.
So it's not like 50% of the neighborhood?
No.
Got it.
It's
Whoever is voting.
You need a majority of those who are voting.
I got it, okay.
I can go through the individual steps in the process here if you'd like, but you have a very good memo in your packet. You guys have to adopt a resolution, consideration identifying which area you're going to consider. We have to publish a notice of this and mail it to each property owner. You have to adopt a resolution of intent at least 1 year after the adoption of that resolution of consideration, which sets the date for the public hearing and referendum. And then you have to do a public hearing with extensive notices. You have to prepare a report that provides detailed information about how we intend to provide municipal services, the impacts on finances and services, and then you're free to move on to adopting an ordinance and a referendum, and then that's when that's carried out. So if you do start this process this year, it looks like it would be 2027 before it could go to a vote. I would encourage you all, if you do choose to go with this process, to work on a parallel voluntary effort, do that annexation consultant proposal. There are plenty of good firms that have already sent out just kind of some feeler emails to see if there are firms that are interested, and there are. You also could go back to those Marvin community signs that were designed during the branding process. We initially intended to provide those to neighborhoods that were completely in Marvin. You could use that as a tool to encourage some of the neighborhoods to fill in the donut holes, for example. If you were to provide these signs to neighborhoods that are completely in Marvin, Innisbrook, for example, but hold back from a neighborhood like Weddington Chase, who has 3 homes that are not in Marvin. That's just one tool you could use to fill in some of the holes. But in short, I'm just encouraging you all to think of a multi-pronged approach to annexation in the next few years, if that's going to be a big focus for the council.
So one thing I would wonder, if you're going to talk about trying to, over the short term, do more voluntary annexations, aren't you then pulling from the group of people that you would be relying on to some degree to vote positively for the
So-
referendum
So
annexation.
not really. I believe part of the referendum process is the area that is going to be annexed through referendum has to be contiguous. So what I mean by that is if you're going to annex, for example, we're going to say the chimneys. We've talked about the chimneys a lot. If you were to go through this process with the chimneys would be the ones voting, and any land, any homes that are attached to the chimneys, that'd be your area that would be identified. If you're targeting other donut holes, that wouldn't really affect this area. if you're-
So we have one real big donut
Yes.
hole, right? And then we have smaller ones that are either individual subdivisions or individual homes
Correct.
within individual subdivisions. So what you're saying is focus more of a voluntary effort on a place like the Chimneys, because you wouldn't want to necessarily do just them, because they're not really contiguous to as anybody.
Well, that's actually not what I'm saying. I'm saying you would want to focus your voluntary efforts on the small holes. So
Yeah,
those 3
okay.
homes in Weddington Chase, the 13 homes
A few
that
in
are,
Providence Estates.
the 13 homes that are in Willow Creek, Sedgefield. These neighborhoods that have just a few homes here and there. And then you'd want to focus your involuntary effort on a much larger area.
Okay.
That would be where you'd want to
That
focus for like the
I
chimneys
think
or.
what he's saying too is you would first need to identify what areas you want to kind of target. If it's Chimneys, if it's Sedgefield, and
Correct.
focus your efforts on there, and then let the kind of gaps fill in between as they come in.
One other thing I'll say is that once you start, if you decide to go through the involuntary process with a neighborhood, I would start working on community outreach and holding community meetings, because if this is going to be a multi-year process, it's going to involve a lot of work on the part of staff. We want to make sure that we're doing every effort possible to make that a successful outcome.
Well, and it's not truly involuntary then, because if the vote
It's not.
fails, then there's no,
Better name is by annexation by referendum.
yeah.
And there was a way to do that in the past, but it used to be that it included the existing
Correct.
residents as well. So now it's really just up to the people that are subject to the annexation by referendum that voted yea or nay. But I think it is extremely important, even before any of these steps, that we start having that community outreach to some of those neighborhoods, explain to them the history of kind of how Marvin got to where it is and why they're not in Marvin per se.
And that brings me to the idea we talked about previously of the annexation working group. I do have a sign-up genius ready for that whenever we want to deploy that. One good thing that group could do would be to be ambassadors. Be a group of people that want to talk about why it's good to be in
Set it
Marvin.
up, let's go. We keep hearing, why are you guys not doing more? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? We're doing everything that we can. Instead of, why aren't you doing this? How about volunteer? So please volunteer. Please step up and help your community out instead of complaining. So yes, put it out there, Austin. Like people who want us to annex in properties so badly and say that we're not doing everything that we can be doing. Well, a lot of it is our hands are literally tied.
Extremely.
But we have done a lot. So if you have better ideas, I'm all for them.
Lastly, I know you guys pushed the annexation consultant off to the next year in the CIP. I would encourage you to look at that again and see if you would like to go ahead and move forward with that in this fiscal year, because having that help now would be a good way to get a voluntary effort started to parallel the involuntary, if you decide to go that route.
Okay, so let's just bring that up at the budget work session in the CIP, and we can talk about it there. All right, got anything else for that?
That is all. Lastly, in your agenda packet, you've got a copy of the session law that changed, that banned us from the annexation, and a copy of the resolution showing our original annexation.
They try to do a lot.
They
That was
did.
a lot. Okay, very good. Thank you, Austin. All right, next up, discussion of Marvin Loop Trail maintenance. Davey, that is you. Come on down. Oh,
It's
Christina,
actually-
that is you.
Yeah, it's actually me. I threw this in here because we talked about this at the last meeting. We discussed having our engineer come out and do the study on the hydrology. There was a little bit of confusion in one of the emails. I had asked you guys for $15,000 to do both Marvin Eford Park and the loop. 'cause that's how we were reading the email, but he had another email that he had given us that said it was gonna be about, I don't know the exact difference, but anyways, there was a misinterpretation. It's actually gonna be $20,000 to do Eford Park and the Marvin Loop. So I wanted to let you guys know that, because you originally had only given us 15,000. I'm ready to pull the trigger on at least the loop. We can wait a little bit on Marvin Eford Park if you guys want to do that.
This is the study to find out why
Why-
the
yeah,
water is
yeah.
just sitting there and intruding. So Wayne and I went and walked the loop a couple weeks ago, trying to take a look at it, and it had been quite a few days since it had rained last, and there's a significant amount of water that is still sitting around the trails, and yeah, I mean, we've got to figure out why the water's just sitting there. So, I mean, I'm fine. I mean,
Okay.
we can't go and fix the trail until we know what's causing all of the
That's right.
issues, so.
And that's what we told him. So I'll advise Jill to go ahead and prepare a budget amendment for another 5,000 to do both the park and the loop, but we wanted to go ahead and get him on the loop to start with, if you guys are okay with that. Okay.
Let's get, I mean, we've got to get the water from around the trail, and then we need to fix the trail. Like, it's got to just be, I think we're past the patch, and,
Yeah.
There is no patching.
yeah.
Okay.
There's,
All right, we'll provide another update at the next work session.
Well, the last
If we have
session
one.
when we talked about this, there was a motion set in there to look at concrete and asphalt. When we redid this,
Mm-hmm.
have we done that yet?
No, because we're waiting to get the water issue
Okay.
resolved, but yeah, we'll ask that as part of the quote when we go back to quote it. I think that was, we'll provide a better update when we get one. I just wanted to let y'all know about the financial piece.
okay, does anybody have any issues with giving more money to do that? Okay, speak now, okay. All right, next up, number 3, discuss and consider entering into an agreement with Dewberry Engineers at a cost not to exceed $110,000 and authorize manager to execute agreement contingent upon attorney review. No, this is not you, this is Tyler. Come on down.
You want me to do it? So this is the engineering scope for Village Hall Park. We originally had, for some reason, our consultants that submitted the Part F application didn't provide any allowances for engineering and planning. So we actually have amended our budget with Part F to take out some of the landscaping. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had budgeted $222,000 for landscaping. We're going to take $111,000 out of the landscaping, have our crews in-house do the landscaping portions to be able to pay for this engineering phase. So that's what we're proposing in front of you today. I will say, one of the things that were in this scope that I took out was the, I don't have it here in front of me, but the wetlands delineation and the floodway studies for this particular area, because we're doing a secondary project to go over all the trails. If you remember, one of the CIP items that we had put in our budget was to do that analysis on what trails we have in our greenways that may have issues in the FEMA flood zones and potential wetlands. So we had asked him to take that portion out, and we're trying to negotiate a contract with them to do that separate contract for all trails and greenways. And this one would be, this particular area would be a bigger portion of that contract, and the other trails would have a secondary, just a preliminary, high-level analysis on this is going to be a problem trail, that's going to be a problem trail, you need to budget for more money on the construction side. It'll go into more detail than that, but this particular one at Village Hall is going to be a lot more in-depth than the other ones.
And so, just say it again, we're taking it out of this contract, the wetland study,
And we're putting it in
and
the
we're
other one.
putting it in another one. So
Yes.
it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. We are going to do it. It's just not in this contract.
That is correct. It has to get done, and it's just going to be in a different contract. We were trying to get them to get that contract before you today, but they're still working on a lot of stuff on that particular one, so we'll have that back at a later date. But it is going to get done. It has to get done. It's just going to be in a separate contract.
I have a question. Reading the news, I've noticed that the state legislature has removed some of the wetland protections. Does any of that affect us?
I'm not familiar with that at all.
Not either,
yeah.
but I know that some of them have. I had not seen any definition of what has been removed, but I just noticed that here in the last week.
Interesting. I'd have to look into that. I don't know how that affects us, unfortunately. So yeah, we're asking for approval on, I think we updated the motion to include the contractual amount of 110, not to exceed 110, to move forward with the planning and engineering for Part F. Did I say anything? You good?
All right, fantastic. So I need a motion. You want me to say it, and then somebody's going to so move it? All right, fine. I'll make I need someone to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with Dewberry Engineers at a cost not to exceed $110,000 and authorize manager to execute agreement contingent upon internal review.
Further discussion. All's in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. New business. Number 1, discussion of reinstituting paid parking passes for non-Marvin residents at Marvin Eford Park. Councilman Dethridge.
You said you wanted to,
Yeah, I sent, just so you all are aware, I sent Councilman Dethridge an email and said I propose you guys table this item. I had asked Chaplin to provide a update on park usage fees and what was legal at the 514 meeting, so if you're okay with that,
I sent an answer back, yes.
okay.
Said yes.
then I propose you guys table this until the next meeting,
We don't want to do anything illegal.
if you guys are okay with that.
Yep, I'm good. So we're going to cancel that? Or table it, not cancel it, sorry, table it, okay. Number 2, discussion of spring, summer town hall meeting. Councilman Lyon.
I just, again, I think we're due to have another town hall meeting. And I think the next one we do, I know we're doing one for the ordinance. But outside of that one, maybe this summer sometime or soon thereafter, to have just a general town hall meeting that says introduction of staff, and just give a brief highlight of stuff, and then just have people come in with concerns, questions. They can come up and make a comment, and then we answer the comment, so as they don't just have 3 minutes and they say something and we don't react to it. I just think the sooner, and again, I'd like to just make a point that if we were trying to not be transparent, we would not be doing this. We try to be as transparent as we possibly can. I think we go overboard with it, and maybe that hurts us sometimes. However, I just think it's time for us to have another town hall meeting that is an open discussion, dialogue with everyone, all of our residents, and see what they have to say. Because I'm not going to go back. I'm still confused. I know we had a GO bond meeting. We had a vote on that. That didn't answer anything for me. It quite honestly didn't, because I've got 5 more questions because of the vote. Because did they vote no? Did they vote no because they didn't want their taxes going up? Did they vote no because they didn't trust us? Did they vote no because they didn't like the project? Did they vote no? I mean, there's numerous questions that can be asked around stuff like that, and I'm not going to live on social media. Not going to do it. I'm not going to even type in next door. Not going to happen. So the more we can engage with the public, which we all want to do, because we all keep asking all the time, please, has anyone called staff and said, hey, I'd like to set up a meeting with Jamie? Maybe I missed it? No. Okay. Has anyone called for any other council member to set up a meeting to have a dialogue about something? So the people out on next door, I'm sorry, but you don't have a leg to stand on. Until you call and you come in and do a coffee with council or ask one of us to schedule a meeting with you, you're not standing on solid ground right now. You can make all the accusations you want, but it doesn't hold water. So I believe that it's a great time right now to schedule a spring or summer town hall, and then go ahead and get on the calendar to do a fall town hall, so people can know that we're engaged, we're doing everything we can to engage with you, and I'll just open it up for discussion.
All right, when do we want to have it? Let's pick a date. Do we want to do it?
I would think you want to do it either before school gets out
Do.
or after it gets back.
And we're going to have a hard, well, I mean,
We're going to be in budget season right up until,
yeah. I mean, we could do it the first week of June, or I think we wait until the last week of August.
Do you want to market that as an open forum town hall meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when do we want to do it?
I would opt for August.
You have a lot of graduations, first week in June.
If, to Jamie's point, if we want to do one spring, summer, and then in the fall, if we wait till August, we're already in fall. I mean, so, you know, if we could squeeze one in June and then maybe one in September, October-ish, then we could accommodate those two.
What about just asking, what about just having one between now and the end of the year and have it in August?
I think Jamie's point is giving two opportunities for dialogue, giving the public more opportunity to
Does
to come and talk to us.
Coffee with council, which have turned into town hall meetings, don't you think that would suffice?
No, because it's not all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, we all sit here and we all say we want communication and we want people to talk to us and we want to be able to have dialogue. And you know, I love these town hall meetings because it does allow for all of council and staff to be here and to field questions and give information that, state of the village, basically. When we do this, we tell everybody in the community what we're working on, what we're doing, and it gives an opportunity for new people that have moved into the area to be introduced to those of us who do this every day. There are a lot of people who have no idea who we are because they just moved here. So, it gives that opportunity, but I feel like we should probably do two rather than one.
Okay.
The
So
more opportunities, the better.
I don't disagree with
That first week of June, will we have the budget in place by then, at
Yeah,
least
we're
that we're
vo- we're
looking to
voting on the
approve?
budget
Next month.
So-
in the May
So it
meeting.
might be, a good time for us to present what the new budget is that we've approved and answer any questions about it, things like that.
Shouldn't we be doing that on the day that we vote for it?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't, I mean, honestly, like, if people are coming to me in June asking me about the budget and why we voted the way that we did, you've had ample opportunity to come in. I mean, I'll answer those questions, but you're like, you've missed the boat, man, like.
I wasn't looking necessarily, I was just saying that we could kind of present, the approved budget.
We're presenting the approved budget, like,
Yeah.
literally, if we do it the first week of June, the week before. I mean,
I will note, there is a lot of absences in June for staff. Some of us are out for conferences, vacations, and other reasons. So it will be a little hard to schedule in that month if you want full staff here.
well, why don't we pick a date and we'll see who's available, and if people aren't available, then we just won't have everybody here.
I know I'm personally out the entire week of the 3rd through the 7th.
Oh, I was going to say, that would be a week I was looking at to suggest, but
And I'm out the following week.
Would it be, I know we're doing the thing on the 8th, would it be bad to do one like on the 27th? 28th? I don't know when Memorial Day is.
Memorial Day is the
That's the
27th,
27th,
so not that day. And we're doing the budget meeting on the 30th. We're approving the budget on the 30th.
You got
Of
a
May.
coffee with council on the 28th of May.
In the evening?
Yes.
Is it still, would it still be wrong to do one sometime? I mean, we're never gonna capture everybody, and I'm sorry, based off past performance, we're only gonna get a handful anyway. I hope we pack this place, I really do. But in realistic, can we, I mean, is the,
Why don't we look maybe at the 22nd?
What
It's
about?
2 weeks after the MDO. It's a week before the budget. So if people have questions about either one,
that's.
they can get those
that's a good
answered.
point. I was gonna say, we could just replace coffee with council with a.
I mean, we could do that.
But I kind of like your idea, though, because it does address two different things that is still in time for input,
Because
so.
we've got MDO on, well, no, because MDO would have been passed on the 14th.
Yeah.
But people could still get questions answered. Budget, we're going to basically present, I mean, it's basically going to be done the 14th, and we're going to vote on it on the 30th. So if people have got questions about it, then
Maybe the 21st?
I can't do it the 21st.
Are we talking for May?
Yes. And Village Hall is not available on the 20th. I mean, we could do it the 28th, since we've got coffee with council,
Can we do it the 28th?
May 28th, right?
May 28th,
We can make it happen.
What time?
like 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Christina, you
I
good
don't
with
have
that?
anything.
Day after Memorial Day.
I don't have anything but coffee with council with Jamie that night, so.
Then don't come. Then don't come.
I don't know
I don't,
that,
I'm not, again, we're not gonna get everybody to come. If somebody's really interested and really wants to come in and have a conversation, then they can come in and have a conversation. If they aren't and they don't care, or they do, then they can call and make an appointment. Like, again, we've never once said we're not gonna have an appointment. Now, I have been not invited to meetings, which hurts my feelings, but, you know, that's fine.
need to get thicker skin.
Yeah. Okay, let's just do it then. Because if people, I mean, most people, not most people, I don't, if people can't come, people can't come. It is what it is.
So
let's-
y'all don't want us to, y'all don't want staff to prepare anything, it's literally just an open
No,
up?
it's
Just
just
be
to come
here.
in, it's almost like a meet and greet, and then say, please feel free to come up if you have questions or concerns or things, actions that we have done, and we'll start it off with that, to say, you know, please come in, and someone say, state their name, whatever, and then say, I was concerned, I read on Nextdoor that you were doing townhomes, and that you were having strip clubs in, coming in here, because it's in the UDO, well, so, but it gives us a chance to just dialogue.
Okay, so while we're looking at our calendars, our handy dandy little calendars, one, everybody put it on there so people aren't missing it and going to the beach instead.
I'm already out. I'm already committed that night. So you're anyway.
6 o'clock. So let's look at the fall date. Now, I would like the fall one to kind of be like a recap of what we've gotten accomplished, like the big one.
Structured.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the fall, which
So
you have plenty of time to get that
September,
together.
October, I like doing it in October.
October 22nd?
You guys normally do the end of October. the
Yeah,
last few
October
years.
22nd looks fantastic.
That.
Wait, is that planning board?
No, planning board's the previous week, so
Okay.
that should be fine.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I know Marsh schedules their presentations, and they like to use the chambers. I just want to make sure they're not already scheduled for one. They're, yeah, October 22nd, they're actually here in the chambers that day. Christina will thank me later for checking.
I'm fine.
Would
All
you
right, well, the
guys-
chambers aren't available, so, okay, 23rd?
23rd looks fine. Tyler, are you aware of anything in the chambers?
How about the 16th?
October 16th. I'm good on my end.
Is there anything booked? Okay.
Oh, I got CRTPO that night.
Keep going.
How about October 1st? It's a Tuesday.
I will be coming back that day from vacation, so I'll be here. I can make that work. If everybody else is good with that.
Are we good with that? October 1st?
I'm fine.
I'm
with
fine.
it.
Mr. Mayor, you good with that date? Fall Town Hall?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. All right, 6 o'clock,
October 1st?
October 1st, 6 o'clock. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, next up, discussion of potential stormwater project in Oak Brooks Estates. Davy Broom, come on down.
Thank you. So I just wanted to provide you just a quick update or just provide some information based on a stormwater issue that we have in the Oak Brook Estates. Homeowner Association president reached out to staff recently about two issues pertaining to excessive stormwater runoff. One consists of a stormwater inlet that fills or falls into a culvert that passes under Oak Brook Drive. There's some deterioration of that inlet itself that needs some work done to it, as well as there's some water sheeting across the road in another portion of Oak Brook Drive running from one side to the other. And so I met with the engineer out there late last week. We looked at both issues together, and he has gone back to develop a plan to correct both issues. Oak Brook Drive is a Marvin-owned street, so it is. We have some level of responsibility for the stormwater, but the overall plan on how to keep the water on one side of the road and then making the repairs, I do not have that now, but I hope to have that by the May 14th meeting.
So does this run up Oak Brook, like the main drive?
Yes, on the left-hand side, as you turn into Oak Brook, just a few hundred yards up on the left, it begins there and goes all the way to the bottom of the
And
hill.
so tell me what's the issue?
You've got the first issue on the about 100, 200 yards down the road on the left is an inlet. It's a ground inlet that has some riprap in it, but it has deteriorated and become larger over time. It funnels into the culvert that runs underneath the road.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture. I got
And
it.
so we're putting together a plan on repairing that inlet, if you will, to kind of stabilize it so the water, stormwater going into it does not continue deterioration.
But what's it deteriorating? The culvert, like
The grassed area, if you look, you can see the grass is actually falling into that inlet.
Essentially, you're going to be putting more riprap to
Yeah.
to help with the erosion control.
Got it, okay.
But we may be redesigning, kind of restructuring the walls of that inlet.
Okay. All right, so you'll have more information for us on the 14th?
Yes. It does. It floods the roadway. I've got videos of, in an excessive rainstorm, it's pretty heavily sheeting across the road. But at one time, way back when, there was a drainage ditch that was prevalent along that side of the road. It's been filled in over time, and that's why the water is not actually staying on that side of the road. It's just washing across at the weakest point.
Can you send us those videos so we can have them for the May meeting?
I can try. I tried to download that last week, but I'll have to figure out how to do it.
Thank you.
The pipe is working fine, yes. The pipe is working fine. This is just down below the pipe, that inlet area, so it's on down the hill. So any water is not, that's coming in, is just continuing to go across to the lowest point.
But it's also lacking ditch, so
That's
you're
the-
going to have
the
to
ditch line is the
regrade
main
the kind of
point.
shoulder area.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Any questions for Davey? Nope, all right, great. Open topics, who's got one? Speak now, we're gonna go quick. Nope, okay, next up, review of action items. Austin,
We are moving fast. All right.
Joe's not here.
You said it. Tyler has the changes for the community video, so we'll get those done. And once we get that back, we'll get that posted on YouTube and our website. We'll execute the contracts with Dewberry for both the Marvin Loop project and the Village Hall Park. Christina is going to move forward with the hydro studies for the trail and the park, and Jill's going to get a budget amendment for that last $5,000. We're going to bring back at the next budget work session, talk of the annexation consultant. We're tabling the item on parking passes at the park until the May 14th regular meeting. We've got our town hall meeting dates, May 28th at 6 p.m. as an open forum town hall meeting, and then a fall town hall meeting at 6 p.m. on October 1st. Davey is going to send over those stormwater videos to you all, and I think that's about it. You did have another contract on the consent agenda for Archive Social, so we're going to get that executed. And we're going to move forward with publishing the MDO FAQs once those changes are made. I think that's it.
Great. Christina, you got anything? Okay. All right, next up, Mayor Pro Kim list.
Let me get it open here.
That's fine. I'm just going to start asking questions. Hunter and Wayne, updates on Towns of Ardrey Park? Anything new? Come on down.
I sent an email to the HOA representative and property manager probably about a month ago after Tyler and I met with them. Haven't heard anything. I mean, I know that's it, kind of with everything with trails and everything right now. I can follow back up, but I did send them,
Just
yeah.
Keep the dialogue going. Let's
Okay.
just keep moving that ball forward. Okay. Mayor Polino, have you followed up with the state rep about the annexation reform proposal? Bueller. All right, we'll come back.
Oh, no, sorry. Takes me a minute to figure this, because I'm on phone.
I know, technology, it's tough for you.
Be nice. No, nothing more that we've had conversations yet on any of that, so.
Can you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he's our guy.
You're not sure what?
I'm not sure he's our guy.
Okay, well, let's find out who our guy is, and then let's start talking to them, or her,
Well-
if it's a gal.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I have, as I'm learning more about the process of all this, I'm learning more, and we'll figure it out. It's just a matter of who we get behind that, whether it's Todd Johnson or,
Okay,
David. So I don't know. It sounds good, but then I think let's call it a developer friendly, because they're the ones that are spending all the money on it. So on whining and dining those people. So I don't know how you get that to happen. So.
all right, well, can you reach out to Todd and or David and start having those conversations with them?
I will.
Thank you. All right, next up, school zones, Councilman Wortman.
Well, since the meeting is going so quickly, I'm going to have time to do that this afternoon.
Perfect, I will follow up with you next meeting. ADA parking at the park, we good?
We don't have we are going to provide ADA transportation for Marvin Day, but we're not doing the parking until we do the hydro study.
Got it, okay. Additional lights at the park, like, they're installed, are they working? Fantastic, okay, good. I'll follow up with that, too. Bamboo removal.
It is underway. We got probably half of it removed.
Great,
We're working on the rest, so we're probably at several weeks before we finish it up.
fantastic, all right. Christina, did you execute the contract with Central Carolina Regional Council for the floodplain technical assistance?
We're working on a couple of changes
on
we
it.
wanted to,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, cool. All right, I'm finished. Council comments. We're going to start with Wayne.
My only comment is I want to thank the staff and the officers, and that's all I have today.
All right, John,
Nothing for me, thank you.
Andrew.
Well, I just want to take a second to thank Tommy Gallus for his years of service. He just retired, and he's been a great asset to the Union County Sheriff's Office. And I'm looking forward to meeting our new deputy, who will be replacing him here in the Village of Marvin. And I want to thank everybody for all of the things that they do. I know Marvin Day is a huge thing coming up on Saturday, so I know staff has been very busy, along with other committees that have been involved in getting everything together. So I'm excited for Saturday. This is a great event that brings the public together. in our little podunk town. And I'm really excited about it.
You mean our $1 million podunk town?
Yeah, yeah. So, that's what small towns are about is community and fellowship and doing things together. So I'm proud of the work that everybody's done and proud of the event. And I think that it's going to be a great time. So that's it.
Very good, thank you. Bob?
I was just going to add, thank you for all that you said, and just add that if you haven't been to, and you will, Marvin Day, go to see Marvin Even Park and find that beautiful playground that's there. I mean, it's really state-of-the-art, and I've had so many, when I've gone there with my grandkids, so many comments. You can just hear people talking about, like, where'd this come from? Oh, my gosh. So it's credit to everybody in the village here, administration and the council, putting that together.
Great, thank you. Jamie?
I had the opportunity to have coffee this past week with a previous mayor, Mike Cognac. I know, John, you know Mike, and many of you do know Mike. And for those who don't, he was a mayor back here many years ago, and
Don't call him old mayor, he didn't like that.
no, he doesn't. But I really had the privilege. He was, I knew him as a friend for many years. I've probably known Mike for almost 20 years, and he's going through some health issues, and so I would just ask that that this council and the community, put your thoughts and prayers to Mike and lift him up. He is a true asset to this community, and it was a pleasure to have coffee with him and spend some time with him, and just know what he's going on. So thanks, Mike, for allowing me to do that, and you are an asset to this community, and we love you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and the family, and with Chris and the boys as well. Staff, thank you for all you've done and for all that you do. I know you work hard. To Tommy, you will be missed. I hope you go in retirement and kick your feet up and relax, but you will be missed, and thank you for your service. And we're still held strong by Ed, and Ed will keep us going. I look forward to meeting the new deputy.
Thank you, Jamie. Joe?
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kim, for filling in for me. Apologize for not being there, first off. A couple of things, obviously thanking staff for their continued work and great job that they're doing. Couple of things, last Sunday, I was able to attend the Wounded Heroes event. I don't know if any of you went to the evening one, but it was a terrific event. And they had some motivational speakers, and about 4 minutes into the first one, I ended up just taping the thing. And the guy was just an amazing story with him and speaking to the crowd. And then, they had some great keynote speakers. And so that was really an uplifting thing where it makes you want to do something or be more. I think one of the messages was, even if you hadn't served, and thank you, Jamie and Andy, for serving, but even if you haven't served,
And Wayne.
And Wayne, sorry, I missed Wayne there. To do something and stuff. So kind of very inspiring for me. And then I also, that morning, I went to a group that I was not aware of, but through friends that I know, they asked me to speak a few words over at Eford Park. They had a walkathon for the group called Kiran, Kiran, and that is it's been around for a while in this community since about 2017, I think, but it's been around since 2008, and it's for the Asian community for domestic violence, sexual violence, that type of thing. So it's a group I wasn't aware of. So it was more an awareness thing, walk, which was a lovely event that they had. Unfortunately, it was raining that day, but they used our beautiful park. Speaking of the park, I had a chance to go over there. Wow, just great equipment to have, and very, very cool that that's now completed. Austin, this one may be for you. Is there a, because I remember seeing something, is there a runoff for voting in May of something that are we having another election in May?
So there
I know
is-
sometimes,
there's a second primary, it's the Republican primary. I'm not sure what else is on the ballot.
It's the,
okay, well, just, just to remind people
solicitor
that,
and
the-
I think it's for governor.
lieutenant governor
I
and
think it is
secretary.
Lieutenant Governor.
or the
He was
solicitor.
actually at that Wounded Heroes event as well. So, but anyways, I remember seeing something. A lot of times we miss that, and some of these runoffs and all that kind of stuff are the most important, voting where we really need to be there. Just a reminder of that. If I haven't thanked staff, I think I did. But Tommy Gallus, congratulations on your retirement, and I just hope the best for you. Whatever next chapter of your life is, I'm hoping for the best, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to staff. Thank you to council. Thank you to Tommy. Looking forward to Marvin Day. It should be a lot of fun. And you're welcome to everyone, because we're moving into closed session now before 11 o'clock. So you're welcome. If anybody wants to make a motion to never let Joe run a meeting again, we'll be happy to take that. Just kidding, Joe.
I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear
sorry.
you.
I thought you were gone. So I need a motion to recess into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143318.11A1 and 6 for a review of closed session minutes and to discuss personnel.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Motion passes. So we are now in closed session, and we will be back shortly. Thank you. And you're all welcome.
Kim, will you plan on calling me?
You can't be in closed session. You're remote. Sorry, buddy. Do you want me to call you when we're back into open